With the launch of Destiny Rising's closed beta test, one of the biggest questions on my mind was how good is the main character going to be? In the gacha space, the free main character can range from great to a usable or utility option to completely useless depending on the game. Thankfully, Wolf seems to be on the good side of that spectrum. In fact, Wolf is probably one of the best generally used units of the game right now, and even when other characters unlock their own exotics, Wolf has a few tricks that'll make sure he keeps up and excels when compared to other units. Starting with Wolf's artifact abilities, we have Wolf Strike. This is the first ability you're given, and it works quite well. When using it, Wolf will perform a dash up to 10 meters and deal damage to enemies that you hit. Additionally, landing final blows against enemies with this ability will completely reset the cooldown, allowing you to constantly use it against weak enemies or finish off strong ones. This ability also makes for a good mobility and survivability option, while allowing you to be aggressive with the right opportunity. Moving on to the second ability you obtain, Wolf's Flames. This is one of the keystones to Wolf's success, and what you should abuse in order to get the most success out of this character. Using it, Wolf will shoot out a flaming blast that will track enemies exploding on impact, and debuffing them with damage over time, while also stopping all healing they may activate. Upon first glance, this doesn't look like anything special. It probably even looks quite mediocre. An ability cast from Tan2 is able to deal around 5 times the amount of damage, and has higher damage over time. But this ability has some secret sauce that you'll find across the rest of his kit. Wolf's Super, Wolf's Butchery, puts him into a roaming super state. You move faster and can perform a 5-meter melee lunge at enemies, attacking them with a 3-hit combo. Each strike also increases the damage of the super by 10%, up to 100%. On cast, you'll also be granted the maximum amount of Wolf's nature, and grant yourself and allies 40% movement buff for 8 seconds, granting an initial boost of speed to close the gap against enemies. While it is a decent option, especially early on, there's a much better use of Wolf's super energy that you unlock after clearing the Jiangxi Metro story. Wolf's main passive grants him lupine nature over time, with additional lupine nature generated when landing ability or finisher final blows. Upon reaching the maximum amount of stacks, the cooldown of Wolf's Strike will be reset, allowing you to use the enhanced version, doubling its damage and granting an additional overshield that scales with the skill level. Wolf's first trait, Searing Offensive, increases the effectiveness of Wolf's Flame. Now upon casting it, you'll receive the Wolf's Dash buff, granting an impressive 40% movement speed for 8 seconds, the same from the super. The other half of this trait allows Wolf's Flames to be enhanced by lupine nature as well, meaning both abilities will have their cooldowns reset upon reaching maximum lupine nature. The enhanced version of Wolf's Flame will instead launch 2 projectiles, effectively doubling the damage and increasing the blast radius of it by an additional 50%. It also grants an overshield to Wolf on cast, scaling with the ability level, much like the enhanced version of Wolf's Strike. Wolf's second trait, Infernal Claws, allows you to finish enemies using ability damage, granting an execution against elite targets. This pairs well with Wolf's Strike and flows better than locking yourself into the finisher animation. Wolf's third trait, Bane of the Mighty, grants a 20% damage buff against elite or stronger enemies that are debuffed by Wolf's Ignition, greatly increasing his damage against the most important targets you'll face. Next up is Wolf's Weapon Mastery, Wolf's Combustion. This is what makes Wolf's Flame and its debuff so good. The first level of it grants Wolf's Combustion, an additional effect of Wolf's Ignition, causing all weapon damage to deal an additional 20% solar damage, equal to the triggering shot's damage, effectively granting him a 20% multiplicative damage buff against debuffed targets. This scales all the way up to 50% at the maximum level. Additionally, its level 4 causes damage dealt by Wolf's Combustion to be recorded and detonate 30% of that total recorded damage in a 10-meter radius at the end of the debuff duration, or when the enemy dies, effectively applying another 30% multiplicative damage increase on the original one, making the effective damage increase of this trait alone 65% at maximum level. Now you may be starting to see what makes Wolf not only good right now, but even better when we move further into the endgame. Moving on to Wolf's talent tree, since he is the main character, all of these will be given to you as you progress through the main story. We currently have the first one, which makes both the enhanced version of Wolf's Strike and the normal one grant additional overshields on cast, which does stack with the overshield of the enhanced version as well, giving him greater survivability in a pinch. The second copy allows both casts of the enhanced ability to grant Wolf's Dash to your nearby allies for 8 seconds, giving you some extra support. Wolf's third copy will increase the duration of Wolf's Ignition to 12 seconds, effectively giving it 100% uptime as the ability has a 13-second cooldown. It also further increases the damage of Wolf's Combustion, pushing it to 70% and 91% if you factor in the additional explosion from the level 4 of the mastery. The fourth copy reduces the recharge time of Wolf's Super by 25%, making it 45-second cooldown, which makes another part of his kit even better. The fifth copy increases the damage of Wolf's Strike and its enhanced version by 50%, and Wolf's final copy greatly enhances Wolf's Super, granting it an additional projectile that deals damage and debuffs targets with the Wolf's Ignition, while also granting it a 10% super refund if you defeat targets, up to 50% total. This makes actually using the super a decent side grade to the much better use of Wolf's super energy, which we will now get to. Wolf's primary weapon is an auto rifle, a decent mid-range option with average DPS. It's good for mowing down adds and is able to deal some respectable damage against elites with Wolf's debuff applied. His best options are Sworn Oath for solar damage, increased accuracy and range, and Wrongful Egress for void damage and higher DPS at the cost of range and accuracy. I personally recommend Wrongful Egress since it grants Wolf full elemental coverage and building into solar damage isn't as good for Wolf. Wolf's other weapon is a grenade launcher. You'll likely run through a few of these as you progress through the main story, but about halfway through the Jiangxi Metro story, Wolf will do an exotic quest to unlock the Satyalixni Smart Bomb, an artifact made from the Fallen's Golden Age. It fires in a straight line and has proximity detonation, making it significantly more accurate than other grenade launchers, but its other ability is where it shines. By holding down the trigger, grenades will charge, increasing the damage by 50% and the blast radius by 25%, which greatly increases its total damage and AoE capabilities. Altogether, it's a strong exotic, but doesn't seem like enough to really be a main reason why Wolf is good until you look at its catalyst. The Smart Bomb's catalyst allows you to consume 50% of your super energy to load 5 supercharged grenades, dealing greatly increased damage and blast radius. But that's not the most impressive part. The super grenades generated by the catalyst don't consume any ammo from reserves, and you don't need ammo in the gun to be loaded. This means Wolf effectively gets 5 supercharged grenades every 30 seconds. 22 if you have his 4th copy. The catalyst upgrades further increase the damage and charge speed, which will make it even better when those are unlocked. The Smart Bomb exotic turns Wolf from a generally useful unit into one with infinitely recharging power ammo that can chew through the health bars of elite enemies and bosses alike. Wolf may not be the best when it comes to DPS phases, but most every activity will give Wolf more than enough time to constantly pump out supercharged grenades along with debuffing anything that needs the extra damage, or when you want to preserve those grenades. Moving on to the artifacts, and starting with the defensive ones, use ones that benefit your playstyle the most. Jump protection works well since Wolf stays really mobile with his hunter jump, and the in-air accuracy for weapons is just as good as the grounded, allowing you to hop around with little consequence. As for the offensive artifacts, since most of Wolf's damage comes from the Smart Bomb GL, I recommend Spread Mastery. The 2 set is enough to get the damage increase, while the 4 set increases blast radius, reload, and handling. Though, if you want more damage, you can stack on movement enhancement for a 7 to 9% damage increase just after using Wolf's Flame, or primary enhancement if you want to buff his AR. Power Enhancement's 4 set can grant a higher passive damage bonus than Spread Mastery, but may be more difficult to build. Solar and Arc enhancements aren't recommended since Wolf ability damage isn't that strong, and the Arc damage bonus for the 4 set is lower than both Spread Mastery and Power Enhancement. I don't recommend ability enhancement for the same reason. Wolf stands out as an exceptionally strong unit that's guaranteed to every player and is well worth the investment as he scales well into the endgame. The ability to regularly generate high-powered grenade ammo every 30 seconds ensures that Wolf's effective damage will never be low for very long, and it also grants him exceptional major clear and boss damage, especially after you apply his debuff, while still maintaining great mobility and survivability on demand with his other ability. We're now heading into the gameplay commentary section where I showcase how Wolf can be played effectively in a Heroic Strike.
Be careful and be smart.
Alright. Starting off, we can pretty easily dash ahead. Ow. Bots even know how to shoot grenades. Blast radius is more than enough to deal with those shanks, and when it comes to stronger enemies, I've got the Smart Bomb. I can really easily just keep using the ammo because I'm going to be generating so much throughout this whole strike.
I have enough energy.
That, I already have my super grenades. There's just some red bars, so I can dash ahead, finish them off. And this section just be mostly us clearing some extra waves. And this will really shine in this wave clearing. Very easily just completely cleans out all of those enemies over there. Servitor's already dead from just a couple shots. Load some more super grenades. break their shields, and don't even need to worry about breaking the shields with an ability because I could just launch the super grenades. Can debuff them and launch another super grenade. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the Void auto rifle, but if I did, I would sure be using it to make sure that the strikes I was in, I'd have full elemental coverage. Thankfully, I don't have to worry about Void Shields too much here. I'm pretty sure it's just Solar and Arc. Load the more super grenades. Take out that wave. There's just more red bars. Push on ahead. Debuff them, and they're just dead. It doesn't even matter. Buff this group, and dead again. And I already have more super grenades. Dash forward. Always able to keep a fast pace when playing Wolf. He may not be as fast as the most speedy unit, like, I forget his name, but he's the Arc Staff guy. And it makes sense why he's supposed to be fast. But he's fast enough to get to where he needs to be, when he needs to be. Going in, loading some more super grenades. So I can get that extra super regen while we're waiting on this elevator. Downtime is really beneficial for Wolf because then he can just generate more grenades. So ironically, being fast isn't necessarily a super necessary thing for him. Very easily start out with some debuff and some charge grenades. I got hit by some lightning, so I can dash away, get some overshield, be safe, and he's already just completely done with that first health bar. So I can pretty easily just heal the ads. His servitor will go down really quickly, just a couple grenades, and from this distance, I can lob a couple more over to that one. Lots of doing good at taking care of the counter mechanics, and I should have used that last one before I tried loading more, but it doesn't matter that much. I've got power ammo for days. Alright, and now it's the boss. I can just lob more super grenades. It doesn't even matter that I wasted one because I'm just gonna get more. And I already have an entire reserves full of regular ones. They don't deal as much damage, but it's still damage. It's still constant upkeep of pressure. And just like that, got more super grenades. His health bar's already gone. It doesn't even matter. That's really Wolf. That's all for the Wolf Guide. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to leave a like on the video, but only if you actually liked it. And be sure to subscribe for more coverage of Destiny Rising and other games in the future. See you next time.